Daia la de Disney's Dishini. What's it's your boy Crow, hollering at you from the southern Willamette Valley, and in the spirit of standing with Standing Rock, I just kind of want to stand up and start to talk about my own sacred site where I reside. Because as much as I would love to go to North Dakota and be supportive, I have to admit that it's appropriate for me to stay in my home. Do you know what I mean? With my family, and be here for them. Just as much as I love to be available spiritually for any real peoples across this world. Do you know what I'm saying? I have to be available for my own peoples. So in the spirit of that, I want to talk about the Willamette Valley and and the sacred sites here, which is kind of a funny way of putting it. And you ask yourself, what peoples lived here in the Willamette Valley before the Anglos came and muddied everything up? I'll show you. It kind of reminds me of the old saying, pushing up daisies. Do you know what I'm saying? You see this stuff right here? Let me see if I can get your focus. You see that? I don't know if you pronounce it Camas, but it's Camas. And it looks like that it's pronounced Camas or Camus. I don't know. Just shows that I should show up at language class more often. Whatever. These are the inhabitants, the pre-Anglo inhabitants of the Willamette Valley. And and some people kind of get it. Like if you come here, they'll say in passing, "Oh yeah, Willamette Valley of Death, right? It's like the Valley of Death." And I don't know why they call it that, because of the pollen, because they had allergies. They call it the Valley of Death. No, they call it the Valley of Death because people didn't live here. Okay, they lived up on the mountains around here, and they came down here to work these fields. But this is the burial ground. The Willamette Valley, yeah, it's a burial ground. It's intentionally a burial ground and a farm for growing camas grass to feed the peoples. So that's how the peoples where I live stayed in communion with the ancestors. And this whole valley was a sacred site. And and every single Indian that lived here was in charge of a certain area of land, and they were in charge of doing controlled burns on that certain section of land every year and planting their own camas crop, and that was the life here for more than 10,000 years. It's my understanding that the peoples that lived around this valley came here across the land bridge, where on the Pacific Crest Trail, we call it the Bridge of the Gods, and there's a walking bridge. But the story goes that there used to be a land bridge, and that's how the Athabascan peoples migrated down into Oregon, as they came across that land bridge across the Columbia, which eventually eroded away. And that's why that if you go to language class here at the Celeste Tribal Office, you'll learn something very similar to what the elders teach in Etchelet. You're going to be learning, for a better way of putting it, Dani way. You know what I'm saying? But just the Oregonian version. Oregonian is nothing. It's an Anglo thing to call it Oregonian even. Do you know what I'm saying? But this this valley, this valley of dead people, this burial ground, sustained the population here by the grass, by the camas crane, by the by the ancestors. The ancestors are such a fucking big deal here that we eat them. Eating what looks like weeds, probably to everybody else. Finding ways to prepare food and stuff around here is a way of coming back into communion with my ancestors, coming into communion with divine. It's an upriver thing, because we ain't really having a lot of salmon up here. But as long as we're talking about salmon, and it's my key into the Willamette River, as far as spirituality, the people here were river worshippers like me. Do you know what I mean? The river's running it. And when you go and interact with the river, it was actually referred to as praying with the river. This whole valley is ours. And I don't give a fuck how many Walmarts you build here. It's always going to be ours. Whose? the indigenous peoples of this planet, the non-colonialness, the regular people, man. You know what I'm saying? Like we had everything we ever needed here, and even though this is a pretty cool Jeff Gordon jacket, the truth is that I don't need it for my family to go on for another 10,000 years here, and it's time to start stepping up. And I'm not trying to be out there making publicities out of fucking ceremonies. Do you know what I'm saying? Because that's not what it's about, you know. But I am trying to step up to the effect and say, hey, step up off our ceremonies. You know, step up off our sacred sites. Step up out of our lives, man. Because really, I mean, the writing's on the wall. You know, it's so ironic that this state, Oregon, has a constitution, and one of the amendments pertains to the right to have nobility. What a bunch of fucking jackasses. You come in here and you build 15 towns in the middle of a fucking graveyard thinking you're fucking cool. Anyways, thank the Creator for giving me such a beautiful place to reside, and such a beautiful place to fight for, and such a beautiful place to stand up for, man. And even if I die before I see the end of it, it'll be worth it, man, because I'm standing right here with the ancestors. I'm picking herbs, I'm having fires, I'm standing on the ancestors, man. And I love it. But, you know, the problem with it is the people that don't know and don't care, and if they did know, would disrespect. And we gotta start taking our country back, boys. And you might be mixed like me, and it might sound crazy coming from a Caucasian looking bitch. You know what, man? No more fence riding, man. You gotta pick a fucking shit, bro. I mean, if you're mixed, I'm sorry about your luck, man. I got the same deal, but you gotta pick a side, brother.